Welcome to another session of wireless communication networks. Unit 3, mobile data propagation, small scale fading and multi-path. Today we discuss about the topic on statistical models for multi-path fading channels. Statistical models for multi-path fading channels. Here nothing but how to represent exact fading for multiple paths coming from transmitter to receiver. Whether it is signal is fade, nothing but is there any rapid fluctuations in the amplitude? Is there any time delay? Is there any changes in phase? For all signal parameters have to consider and represents the fading channel. Fading channel. Here, different types of multipath models are available for fading channels. But the first model is presented by Osana. Here, he is the researcher. Osana is the researcher. He explained the statistical model for multipath channels based upon interference. Based upon the interference between incident and reflected wave. That is, he is considered only two waves. One is incident wave, another one is reflected wave. Here, here he considered in the buildings, the location in the buildings. Consider these two incident and reflected wave. How much fading occurs due to reflection takes place between transmitter to receiver. That is, we have to consider one is line of sight path, another is reflected path. How much difference is there in based upon amplitude between line of sight path and non-line of sight path? How much amplitude changes? How much phase changes? And how much delay changes? Here, this is explained the Osana model. Here, Osana only explains based upon the reflection wave, but not explain either scattering, either diffraction. That's why we are going for the next model. He explained with Clark's model. In the Clark's model, multipath channel fading explained by scattering method. That is, second method is Clark's model for flat fading. Clark's model for flat fading. Here, what is better flat fading? Flat fading is nothing but the bandwidth of a signal is less than the bandwidth of a channel. Right. Here, the Clark's explain how the signal is scattered. How the signal is scattered due to rough surface. Right. Let's move to the Clark's model. Here, Clark is a researcher. He is especially observed the electromagnetic fields. Electromagnetic fields for a receiver signal at the mobile station. How much signal is scattered from transmitter to receiver? Here in his research, on this multipath channel fading, he considered first assumption is the transmitter is fixed. Nothing but is not a movable one. The transmitter is fixed station. In that this fixed transmitter, a vertically polarized antennas are fixed. Vertically polarized antennas are fixed. Now, the transmitter sends a signal from many paths, n paths. N paths are n azimuthal planes from transmitter to receiver. Here, each and every path having different carrier phases, different carrier azimuthal angles, and different amplitudes from transmitter to receiver. From transmitter to receiver. That is, he considered the transmitter is fixed and the type of antenna which is used at vertically polarized antenna, and how many planes, n planes from transmitter to receiver, for each plane having own phase and angle of arrivals and amplitudes. Here in this Clark model, he did not take an example for direct line of sight path. In the previous Osana model, he considered line of sight path also, but here in Clark's model, he did not take a direct line of sight path. All paths are scattered. All paths are scattered. Right. Here in this Clark's model, explain this figure. See this one. Here explain Y plane and Z plane. Here the mobile unit moving towards to the X direction. The mobile unit moving towards the X direction. The signal arrival from the fixed transmitter, it is in between X and Y planes. Here the alpha is angle of arrival from the incident wave from the transmitter to receiver. Here in this diagram, mobile traveling with velocity of v in the direction of x, and angle of arrival, it is measured in between X and Y plane. Now we have to consider what is exact Doppler shift we are getting. Doppler shift. Here we have to assume that nth wave among n capital N waves, nth wave is, we have to assume that. That's why the Doppler shift Fn, which is equal to v by lambda cos of alpha n. Here what is Fn? How much Doppler shift with the nth wave, and v is the velocity of the mobile unit. Lambda is the wavelength of incident wave. Alpha n is the angle of arrival from xy plane. Here from this one, see this figure. Here we are considered vertically polarized. Here see this one in this figure, vertically polarized nothing but X and Y is horizontal planes. Z is only vertical. That's why electric field is present along the Z direction, and XY coordinates are present in a magnetic field. That is Ez, Hx, Hy. Ez, Hx, Hy. Suppose we are considered horizontally polarized plane antennas. At that time we are getting Ex, Ey, Hz. Ex, Ey, Hz. But here we are considering the type of antenna which we are in here, vertically polarized antennas which are fixed. That's why Ez, Hx, Hy. Ez, which is equal to E0 into summation n equal to 1 to n capital N Cn cos of 2 pi fct plus theta n. Hx, which is equal to minus E0 by eta summation n equal to 1 to capital N Cn sin alpha n cos of 2 pi fct plus theta n. Hy is equal to minus E by eta summation n equal to 1 to n Cn cos of alpha n cos of 2 pi fct plus theta n. Here in this Ez, Hx and Hy, E0, which is equal to what is exact real amplitude, is the real amplitude of local average E field. Real amplitude. Cn is a variable amplitude for different waves. Here summation is summation n equal to 1 to n paths we have to consider from transmitter to receiver. Next, eta is intrinsic impedance of a free space. What is my intrinsic impedance? Which is equal to 377 omega. Fc is the carrier frequency, and theta n is random phase. Nothing but the signal is scattered. The signal is scattered, nothing but we are getting a received signal is random signal. Random is nothing but noise signal. Theta n is equal to 2 pi fn of t plus phi n. Phi n. From all these E and H fields, the average amplitude of a random signal is summation n equal to 1 to n Cn square bar, which is equal to 1. Finally, we are for summation of all amplitude which is equal to 1. Right. Next, we are going for suppose the Doppler shift is very small compared to carrier frequency. The three fields should be narrow. The three fields, that is Ez, Hx, and Hy, narrow. At that time, the type of noise is we have to assume Gaussian noise. Gaussian noise. Whenever the Doppler shift is very small, it is less than carrier frequency. At that time, we have to assume that the type of noise present in that particular signal is Gaussian noise. This one explained by Rice model. Rice. Here this Rice model for multipath fading. He explained both in phase and quadrature phase. What is meant in phase and quadrature phase? In phase, nothing but directly we have to apply a carrier signal to modulation. For quadrature phase, apply 90 degrees to the original carrier signal, then apply modulation. That's why Ez, which is equal to Tc of t cos of 2 pi fct minus Ts of t sin 2 pi fct. Here where Tc of t equal to E0 summation n equal to 1 to n Cn of cos 2 pi fn of t plus phi n. Ts of t is nothing but E naught summation n equal to 1 to capital N Cn sin 2 pi Fn of t phi n. Here this is representation for Gaussian model. Here both Tc of t and Ts of t represents Gaussian random process for carrier signal and original signal respectively with the varying time t. Then the variance of this Tc of t and Ts of t, that what is the variance? Squaring and averaging. That's why Tc square squaring and averaging is bar. Tc square bar is equal to Ts square bar, which is equal to modulus of Ez square bar, which is equal to E naught square by 2. What is the envelope of received field is modulus of Ez of t, which is equal to root of Tc square of t plus Ts square by t, which is equal to R of t. Which is the thing but received signal. Based upon this received signal envelope, then the relay fading model explained PR of R, which is equal to R by sigma square exponential of minus R square divided by 2 sigma square when the R is in between 0 to infinity. When R is less than 0, PR of R equal to 0. Already explained in the previous section for this relay fading model. Next, we are going for simulation of Clark and Gans fading model. Simulation of Clark and Gans fading model. Here in previous section, we are discussing about Clark's model. It is only the representation of mathematical expressions for the paths coming from transmitter to receiver, how much signal is received, how to represent the received signal in a relay fading model. But now we are going for exact simulation model, that is computer programming. For the exact Clark's model, here the simulation can be explained by both Clark and Gans researchers. That's why it is called the simulation of Clark and Gans fading model. Here in this Clark's and Gans model, they are considered both in-phase and quadrature phase modulations. Both in-phase and quadrature phase modulations. Here, how to explain this in-phase and quadrature phase? See this one, two figures. The first figure, our part is RF, radio frequency Doppler filter. The second one is baseband Doppler filter. In first one, see this one, we are assuming that two signals. Both should be equal. Both are independent, not dependent, both are independent. Baseband, Gaussian noise sources we are taking input. Then we are going for modulation. We have to apply modulation. For this modulation, the first signal is modulated by cos 2 pi FCT, and second signal is modulated by sin 2 pi FCT. See this one is cos signal, another one is sin signal, but one is in phase, another is quadrature phase. After modulation takes, the summation takes place, and we are applying Doppler filter to remove noise. Then original signal which we are coming. Similarly, instead of using single filter, we are using two filters before modulation to remove noise. Another method. Here we are taking two noises, baseband Gaussian noises. First apply two baseband Doppler filters to remove noise. After removing this noise, apply modulation, but both in phase and quadrature phase. In phase by cos 2 pi FCT, quadrature phase is sin 2 pi FCT. After modulation takes place, summation. Finally, we are getting S naught of t. That is original signal which to be transmit. Right. Here in this figure, two independent Gaussian low pass noise sources are used to produce in phase and quadrature fading branches. And each Gaussian noise may be formed by summing of two independent Gaussian random variables. Here, by using these filters to remove noise, and shape, we are getting usual shape in a frequency domain. Suppose we want to go for in time domain. At that we are using inverse fast Fourier transform we have to apply. Finally, we are getting output is time domain. Here, from this figure, we are going for an algorithm is there. The programming is there. How to represent signal. Here, this computer program explained by Smith researcher. His method can be used as Gaussian noise generators are used, that is which produce a Gaussian noise sources with a frequency of FM. With a frequency of FM. See this one, I am explaining this Smith by using this figure. See this one, exact. Smith explains computer programming to implement delay fading simulator. See this one, the first twos, independent, complex Gaussian noise samples from line spectra. Nothing but whose frequencies depends from FM. That is the spectral representation in between minus FM to FM. That's why 0 is the middle point. From 0 to the positive is FM, negative side is minus FM to represent a Gaussian noise in a spectrum. Right. Now we are calculating. Now we are calculating power spectral density. Power spectral density. How to represent power spectral density in terms of S, capital S in frequency domain. Suppose you know the formula P equal to V square I. Suppose current is very negligible, we have to assume that P equal to V square. Suppose then we want V, nothing but V equal to root P by I. Similarly, we want the exact power spectral density, nothing but we have to represent amplitude of each path coming from transmitter to receiver. At that time we have, instead of small s of f, we have to represent root of, that is we have to amplitude V value, we want V value which is equal to root P. Like this, we want to represent root S Ez of f. You have to represent exact frequency spectrum. Right. Next, apply. Here this is all are in time domain. All are in time domain. Suppose we want, sorry, not time domain. This is available in frequency domain. We want in time domain. That's why we have to apply inverse. That is inverse fast Fourier transform. After applying inverse fast Fourier transform, then go for modulation takes place. Here the modulation takes place for first one is in phase. The second way is quadrature phase. That's why apply 90 degrees. After that one, we have to go for, after modulation have to takes place. We have to take the averaging. That is how to calculate variance, whether the signal having noise or not. That's the value of a modulus of square. After applying this, after summation of both signals, then again apply root signal. Why? Because the first one is root S. After this one, we'll go for squaring after IFFT. Once squaring is there, root can be removed first. After summation, again apply root value. Then which is equal to, we are receiving R of T. This is the nothing but frequency domain implementation of a relay fading simulator at baseband. Here from this all things, now I am explaining in a algorithm. This algorithm, that is to implement the above simulator in the following steps. First one is specify the number of frequency domain points, capital N. Number of frequency domain points N. That is from 0 to how much points is there from up to plus FM up to minus FM. We have to calculate N value, capital N value, how many spectrum lines. From this, first we have to find out this frequency domain points to represent root of SEZ of F with a maximum Doppler shift FM. After that one, second point, compute the frequency spacing between adjacent spectral lines. Compute the frequency spacing between adjacent spectral lines. Nothing but from one spectrum line to another spectrum, how much difference is there? Frequency, that is delta F, which is equal to 2 FM by N minus 1. Suppose I have to calculate time duration T is equal to 1 by delta F. Right. Next one is generate complex Gaussian random variables for each of the N by 2 positive frequency components of a noise source. Next, construct a negative frequency components from 0 to minus FM. After this one, multiply the in-phase and quadrature noise sources for root of SEZ of F. Next, perform IFFT, inverse fast Fourier transform, to convert from frequency domain to time domain. Time domain, and add the square of each signal point to time to create a n-point time series like under the radial of equation. Next, after this one, summing of these two signals and apply root to step 6 and obtain an n-point time series of simulated relay fading signal with proper Doppler spread and time correlation. Time correlation. This is the steps required to simulate 5 Clark's and Gans model by explained by Smith. Finally, we are receiving the signal R of t. Now we are calculating how much flash fading occurs for applied S of t signal. We know S of t is the transmitted signal, received signal is R of t. How much difference is there? Now we are calculating, right? See this one, how much we are getting. First S of t is the signal is under test. R of t is the received signal. Number of paths, n paths we are considered. See this figure, signal under test is original signal transmit. This can be transmitted for n paths. Finally reach the receiver R of t. For each path is A0, A1, AN is the amplitudes for each path, and the first path signal from original transmitter to receiver directly. The second path is the time delay tau1. For nth path is tau n is the delay from transmitter to receiver. After applying all these terms, finally we get a receiver R of t. R of t, which is equal to, it depends upon the summation n equal to 1 to n and relay fading simulator. Relay fading simulator. Next one is level crossing rate and fading statistics. Level crossing rate and fading statistics. Here this level crossing rate and fading statistics explained by Rice model. Rice, name of the researcher is Rice. He computed similar to Clark's model, previous sessions, Clark's model. Here he considered level crossing rate, LCR, level crossing rate. Nothing but the level crossing rate is defined as the expected rate at which the relay fading envelope normalized to the local RMS signal level crosses a specified level in a positive going direction. Positive going direction. What is the definition of level crossing rate? The level crossing rate is defined as the expected rate at which the relay fading envelope, that is received signal, normalized to the local RMS signal crosses a specified level in a positive going direction. Then what is meant by positive going direction? Nothing but the mobile unit towards to the base station. At that time, how much signal strength we are getting for each level we have to crosses. Suppose we are taking the distance between transmitter to receiver. The distance between transmitter and receiver is 1 kilometer. 1 kilometer. At that time, we are getting 30 dB power. Suppose the mobile unit reaches to 500 meters in between transmitter and receiver. We are getting 50 dB. It reaches 200 meters. It reaches 70 dB. Likewise, for each level, we have to change how much the signal strength changes when a positive going direction. Then the number of level crossings per second, NR, which is equal to integral of 0 to infinity R dot into PR, capital R, comma R dot into dr dot, which is equal to root 2 pi FM rho e exponential minus rho square, where R dot is time derivative of the received signal R of t. P of capital R comma R dot is the joint density function. Joint density function. Where is FM is maximum Doppler frequency. What is in by rho? Rho equal to capital R by RMS. Capital RMS. Next, similarly for average fade duration. The average fade duration is defined as the average period of the time for which the received signal is below a specified level capital R. The average fade duration is defined as the average period of time for which the received signal below the specified level R. Capital R is the threshold value. Capital R is the threshold value. Below the threshold value, 100% fading occurs. That is, we have to maintain threshold value for good and better signal strength. Whenever the signal strength is coming below the specified level capital R, automatically we are getting fade. How much time it takes to fade? This is about average fade duration. That is tau bar, which is equal to 1 by NR into PR of R is less than capital R. Where PR of R is less than R, which is equal to 1 by capital T, summation I into tau I. Otherwise, it is represents integral 0 to capital R, PR of R, dr, which is equal to 1 minus exponential minus rho square. Finally, implement this one equation in equation number 81. Finally, the average fade duration tau bar, which is equal to exponential of rho square minus 1 divided by rho of Fm root 2 pi. This is about average fade duration. Next method is two-ray relay fading model. Two-ray relay fading model. The name itself shows two rays. That is, we have to consider one is line of sight path, another one is non-line of sight path, that is reflected wave. Due to reflection, it takes more time from transmitter to receiver. See this one, this is a figure X that shows two-ray relay fading model. The one is input is transmitted signal, output is received signal. One is direct path. Here modulation takes place by alpha 1 exponential j phi 1. One is reflected path. Due to delay, you have to consider tau is the delay. And applying modulation is alpha 2 exponential j phi to finally reach to the receiver. That is summation. We are getting output. Two rays we have to consider. From this, the impulse response model of a system is HB of t, which is equal to alpha 1 exponential j phi 1 multiplied by delta t plus alpha 2 exponential j phi 2 delta t minus tau. That is the second wave having time delay. That's why minus tau. Here in this alpha 1, alpha 2 are independent and relay distributed. Independent and relay distributed functions, and phi 1 or phi 2 are independent and uniformly distributed over 0 to 2 pi, and tau is the time delay. Suppose there is no reflection takes place, only one path is there from the transmitter receiver, that is good line of sight path. At that time, HB of t, which is equal to only alpha 1 exponential j phi 1 into delta t. Delta t. Right. This is about two-ray relay fading model. Next one we are going for model is Saleh and Vallenjula indoor statistical model. Saleh and Vallenjula indoor statistical model. Here in Saleh and Vallenjula model, it is especially used in indoor propagation. Indoor propagation. Here, what is indoor propagation methods or models? The distance between transmitter and receiver in terms of meters only. Here in this Saleh and Vallenjula made statistical model. Here they are considered the type of antennas is vertically polarized omnidirectional antennas are used. Vertically polarized omnidirectional antennas are used in the same floor, and the type of building is medium-sized building, and they are sending the signal with a frequency of 1.5 gigahertz. That is radar-like pulses, and 10 nanoseconds time to take from transmitter receiver signal transmission. These are consideration. One is vertically polarized omnidirectional antennas located at the same floor with medium-sized building, and the type of measurements under frequency of 1.5 gigahertz with 10 nanoseconds radar-like pulses. Here, based upon these considerations, the final results obtained by this Saleh and Vallenjula show that the first one is the indoor channel is quasi-static. The indoor channel is quasi-static or very slow time varying. Very slow time varying. Nothing but the distance between transmit receiver is very less in terms of meters only. That's why it is a quasi-static. Next, our second observation is the statistics of channel impulse response are independent of transmitting and receiving antenna polarization. Right? This is also depends upon very less distance between the transmitter to receiver. Transmitter to receivers. This is about Saleh and Valangela method. Next method is SIR-SIM and SMR-SIM, indoor and outdoor statistical models. SIR-SIM and SMR-SIM, indoor and outdoor statistical models. Here, what is SIR-SIM? Nothing but simulation of indoor radio channel impulse response models. Simulation of indoor radio channel impulse response model. Here, this SIR-SIM, which is used for indoor propagation models to calculate fading. Similarly, SMR-SIM, simulation of mobile radio channel impulse response model. This is similar to SIR-SIM, but SMR-SIM is used in the semi-urban areas. Semi-urban areas or small-scale urban areas for calculation of fading. Here in this SIR-SIM and SMR-SIM, to calculate fading, they are considered how many number of paths are coming from transmitter receiver. First, how many paths are coming from transmitter to receiver. Once calculated the number of paths, they are calculating multipath time delay tau I and small scale receiver spacing XL. Small scale receiver spacing, nothing but we are using the type diversity antennas, space diversity antennas for receiving. So what is my space diversity antenna? We are using two receivers to receive same signal. The distance between two receivers fixing is XL. And topography SM, whether the line of sight path or obstructed path, and the distance between transmit receiver is DN, and measurement for a particular location PN. From all these considerations, that is tau I, XL, SM, DN, and PN, right? Then the impulse response for this fading model, HB of T, XL, SM, DN, PN, which is equal to summation I into AI of tau I, XL, SM, DN, PN exponential of J theta I of tau I, XL, SM, DN, PN multiplied with del of T minus tau I, XL, SM, DN, and PN. From these all considerations, they explained SIR-SIM and SMR-SIM statistical model. SIR-SIM and SMR-SIM statistical models. Here, to analyze all these terms, they are considers 50 buildings. Consider 50 buildings from the transmitter to receivers. Once you have to finding all these terms, substitute and finally represent the statistical model for a fading channel. This one, the probability of received signal with respect to Ti, S1. What S1 is line of sight path, which is equal to whenever Ti is less than 110 nanoseconds. At that time, PR of Tia, S1 is equal to 1 minus Ti by 367. When Ti is in between 110 nanoseconds to 200 nanoseconds, it is 0.65 minus Ti minus 110 by 360. And similarly, the Ti it is in between 200 nanoseconds to 500 nanoseconds. The PR of Ti, S1 is equal to 0.22 minus Ti minus 200 by 1360. Suppose you have to consider obstructed path. When received probability of received signal Ti, S2, which is equal to 0.55 plus Ti by 667. When Ti is less than 100 nanoseconds. When the TI it is in between 100 nanoseconds to 500 nanoseconds, it is 0.08 plus 0.62 exponential TI minus 100 by 75. These are the different models explained by a many number of researchers to represent the statistical models for multipath fading channels. That is the first model explained by Osana, the second model explained by Clark's model for indoor channels, the third model explained by simulation of Clark's and Gans model, and two-ray relay fading model, and Smith explained by computer programming by using some algorithms. Similarly, for the last one is SIRSIM and SMR SIM model, and this next model here Saleh and Valangela statistical models. Here from this all these models to represent how exactly the signal is fade or not. Right. This is about the statistical model for multipath fading channels. Do you have any query? Type your query in a chat box. Thank you very much for attending today's session.